And a good morning. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Friday edition here on a Friday, June the 7th. And glad to have you along with us. Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't yesterday D-Day?
Yeah.
80 years.
It's amazing. You saw that post Michael Wyatt put out?
Yeah, turn your mic
I'm
the,
sorry.
the backside. There you go.
Did you see the post that Michael Wyatt put out?
Yeah.
About how he graduated 40 years ago and how it was 40 years previous when he graduated to D-Day, and how, you know what I'm saying, it kind of makes things
it's amazing.
Really come into light.
It's amazing when you start to put things into perspective.
Right.
And that's basically what it boils down to. You know David Lilly.
Yes.
David used to be part, or at least had made a trip or two, of those flights where they would take the veterans to Washington, and he talked about what that meant, to be able to do that and help those guys out.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you guys along with us here this morning. A couple things broke overnight or yesterday, or let's just put it this way, since the last time we talked to you. How about that? Some things have changed since the last time we talked to you. They have announced the college football playoff schedule that's coming up this year. We'll go to 12 teams. It will start December the 20th, first round games, and conclude with the title game 1 month later in Atlanta. And the first round games will be December 20th and 21st on Friday and Saturday night, 8 o'clock kickoffs. TNT will have the 21st afternoon games at 12 and 4. The afternoon games will go up against two NFL teams. So one of the teams, I can tell you, or one of the games, they'll struggle to get, depending on who it is, they'll struggle to get anybody to watch it with Baltimore and Pittsburgh playing the second game on Sunday.
That?
You're running out of days and times.
Well, this is the thing. Why do you need to wait until December 21st to do that? Why do you not do it the second week in December? Well, we got exams. Are we
not then?
No. Are we really going to have that conversation? Really?
Right. So I'll be anxious to see.
I mean, come on, dude.
The best thing to come out of this, is the first round is played on campus.
Of course.
And that's awesome.
They should do all of that.
Yeah.
That's
awesome right there.
Should the reason for, and I'm talking about all the way down to high school. This is the way that you are able to generate revenues, for to provide for the sports that maybe lack in revenue generation, which doesn't minimize the importance.
This deal
of those sports
was $7.8 billion, and it allowed them ESPN. It allowed them to sub-license some games, but the quarterfinals, finals, and championships will be on ESPN. For the top four conference champions will receive first-round byes. Quarterfinals will begin December 31st, and then New Year's Day will kick off the semifinals, as it always has, and then the Sugar Bowl the following week.
There's no point to do these bowls.
Well, you're going to see them go away because they're not going to get. They're going to start losing money, especially since they've expanded this.
Think about it. The bowl was these two teams from these two conferences, champions, are going to play in that bowl. Mm-hmm. Now, things change. That no problem. Okay, but the significance now they're just saying, well, this is the bowl game. Mm-hmm. This is the. I mean, why is that? Because we've always done it that way.
That was one of my favorite things. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Anytime somebody tells you that, the next step is what? Failure.
Yeah.
Death.
It's got to have. It has got to have meaning. It's got to have something that people want.
And people wanted it with the bowls all these years. What was wrong is the big money wanted the national championship games.
Yep.
Okay, so college football has always been different in its structure.
Mm-hmm.
The way they choose a national champion, the way they pick a national champion, the way they vote for one. Mm-hmm. It's always been different. Okay?
And that's not going to change.
And this is the thing about it. Now that they've done this, they've aligned it with the other sports and with the championship brackets and the way you do things. College football was unique in its own regard because it didn't have championship-style play. Now it has been streamlined like the rest because – people say, well, yeah, but every other sport does it. Why do we not do it?
Well, the problem –
that's not necessarily the best argument in the world.
But the problem, where the biggest problem was, when I was growing up, you were excited about the bowls because of the matchups. But when everybody gets to go to the bowl And you have the right, even though your conference is aligned with this conference, you have the right to turn it down if you're somewhere else or in a bigger bowl. And that's when it lost its luster, because you wanted to see these top-tier teams play each other.
So you're saying, I'm just giving an example, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, those are the big ones.
To me, they were.
What I'm saying is that you look forward
about
to.
6 or 7, yeah.
And that we knew that the Sugar Bowl would maybe be I'm just giving, Rose Bowl would be the national championship game, right? Anytime you could look and say, well, the Big Ten's going up against, the Pac-12 or the or the Big 12 or whatever, is going to getting to Michigan, Nebraska, Miami, Michigan, there's no more of that.
Right.
Now it's, we've got 12 teams that we need to get in this so they can play each other and we can find a national champion. Okay, first of all.
Then drop the others.
First of all, why? Well, yeah, but so-and-so got left out. Well, okay, but so goes life.
I don't care if they expand the playoffs again. Get rid of the other stuff. I don't want to watch any games that have no meaning.
I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm just from a different standpoint looking. I don't want to see all this crap, because all it is sit down, watch the game, hear the commercials. TV's made their money. Mm-hmm. The lack of value that is brought on the substandard play, not because when I mean substandard, I'm talking about to the excellence of these top 4, 5, 6 teams that are battling out for 4 spots. Mm-hmm. 6 more? Come on, man.
Well, I mean, I say, really? I'm okay with it, but get rid of the other. And you're going to find out quickly.
It's not basketball.
I know. But the other side of it is I think you'll see the level of competition increase. It's going to take some years, but it's going to increase because now you've got more than 1 or 2 schools that have an opportunity to win a championship.
Not till they fix the portal, though. Right?
It's going to fix itself.
Agreed. But until it's done, you're going to see this navigation of, it's Ohio State this year, it's Florida State this year, it's, Alabama this year, it's, Georgia this year. They're not competing for recruits. They're competing for the portal.
Yeah.
And so, that's still recruiting. No, what this is basically we got DraftKings going on every year. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, when you're a college football coach, you're going to be able to draft your team out of the portal each year. This is where we're going with this.
Well, this is what I
wanted
already
to see.
Sorry,
we're already there.
May 15th, all right, there were roughly 23%. There were 2,611 football players in the portal. 23% of FBS scholarship players, were in there to transfer. What I was looking for, and this is where it's going to stop, I wanted to see the percentage of players that went in that can't get out because nobody wants them. You got players that are going in the portal because I'm not getting treated fair here. No, you're not getting treated. You're getting treated fair there. You just don't like it because you're not good enough to play.
Well, so there's 2 reasons you should stay or leave. Number 1 is the environment good? Is it allowing you to grow as a person, which obviously very few people care about right now because it's all about the money, okay? It's not like I grow and develop myself and become very good at what I do, then the money comes. It's I got to get the money now, and then I'll try to do this back-end development later, and then I'll lose everything. And I'm standing there with mental health issues because I don't understand why, nobody loves me anymore, and all of a sudden I was really good, and now I suck. This is crazy. All right, the second thing is, Lanny, and I tell kids this all the time, and I've said this before on the show. If you're getting an opportunity, that means to develop, show your skill set, get a chance to compete. Well, also in knowing that, Lanny, you have to understand what your age is and your experience level. So just because you're not getting an opportunity to play right away doesn't mean you're not getting an opportunity to develop to get you there. It's like Matt Rule said, Nebraska's I don't think had anybody leave and go in the portal. And why? Because they have mostly NFL people that are there in that program. And Matt Rule says, why would you want to go anywhere else? You have everything here that you need to develop yourself, to give yourself a chance if you are that talented player, which we think a lot of you are, to have the next chance to go play professional football.
That's why I'm saying
he is awesome. he is setting the standard. Nobody's leaving. He doesn't have to go to, I mean, I'm sure there's guys that are in the portal, but he doesn't have to. He's building his program based on that from within. He's not, every time you point a finger, you got one going this way and three coming back at you. He understands that. The more I learn about Matt Rule, the more that I'm so glad he got out of Carolina, because he was in a no-win situation.
Well, he wasn't an NFL coach.
But he wasn't over his head. The issues that they have were over what he could do anything about.
Right.
He wasn't in control. Now that he's in control of the program at Nebraska, look at the direction that they're going and how they are developing their players as people and as athletes.
But that's
It's
the
a
difference.
win-win.
That's the difference in college athletics and pro athletics. Is that reason right there? It's because the head coach doesn't have the control. The player has the control.
And the GM
in the NFL.
does. The GM
and
and
the
the owner.
Yeah, but when you look
really?
you look at college football, if I were in charge, I would have a cap on NIL money, and I would allow one transfer, and that's all I would allow, one transfer.
Yeah. So if I were in charge,
Because I made a mistake. I made a mistake.
We would be intercollegiate athletics.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff would be gone away with. Okay. And I have nothing against people making money based on their brand. But if they built their brand and the platform's not already provided, and they did that themselves through their hard work and dedication, not because somebody already has it there and they show up in front of a camera and now it's here. That's the other issue that we don't talk about.
Well, NIL.
It's called entitlement.
Yeah,
right?
NIL
It is.
was intended to be exactly what you said, making money off your brand. How can you negotiate an NIL deal when you don't have a brand when you just came out of high school?
So a kid goes to a recruiting trip, let's just say to a local Division I university, it may be 3 hours away, 2.5, whatever. And basically they come back and say they're going to give me $400,000. Or they're going to give me $800,000. Or they're going to give me $200,000 in this. Okay? For what? On the promise that you might do something?
Well, go back and
Wow.
look. Go back and
Wow.
look. That's
have
how.
You ever seen someone get hired from one company to the next based on the promise of what they might bring or what they've done?
Right.
And being compensated
Right.
for that to bring their expertise there.
But what I'm saying
Crazy,
is
dude.
this thing
We've lost our minds.
this thing will take care of itself,
Absolutely.
just like it
Money's
did
gonna
in the
run out.
NFL when they came up with the slotted rookie scale, because they were spending millions and millions off a player coming out of college with no idea that he could be the same athlete
Yeah, sure.
and compete on the NFL level. So they had to do that because so many teams were just losing their butt because they had to get this money up there to do it. But when they came in and said, okay, here's our slotted scale, and this is where you go in, depending on which round you're going in. And I think that's going to happen on the other side in college athletics. And everybody's not going to participate because they can't.
The thing about it is, again, let me be very clear. I'm not against people making money. But I think it's more important to earn money, and go through the trials and tribulations so it sets you up for continued success through your, failures and successes. That way you're
Right.
learning instead of just throwing something there and saying, hey, you're going to work out and do great. Can you even tell me where that wide receiver at Carolina that finally got to play, where did he end up in the NFL? Can you tell me right off the bat? That was the biggest saga in the world. Oh, he's not getting to play. They took away this. And I didn't disagree with what they were saying. Mac Brown was right. They took they shut everything down based off of assumptions without having proof, scared to death, trying to get out in front of things, shut everything down, and took a year of eligibility, and this guy transfers.
Well, here's the thing.
And then all of a sudden, like, well, you can't transfer twice, or that's not part of the rule, and retroactive to this and this, that, and the other. Well, it was a big deal. Oh, this guy's so great. He does this, and he's a great player. But I can't even, like, off the top of my head tell you where he went in the draft.
Well,
how significant is that?
Here's the
and how
thing.
much money did he get to go there?
This is the whole thing when it comes down to it.
What are we doing?
When you talk about these players coming in, you cannot let it get set up to where it's unlimited. Now, the only difference that I see between NIL today and how this was handled 10 years ago, the money's on top of the table. I don't know that the money's changed that much, but it's on top of the table. But the other side of it is if you've got a coach,
So who really cares about that, though, where the money is? The only people that care about that is the people that tax the money.
well, I mean,
Why? You see what I'm saying? Like, why is that important? The only reason that all this has come to light is through taxation.
I understand, but
it's asset capture to go into the federal system.
yeah, but here's the deal.
Okay.
Here's the thing: when the money was under the table, and you had colleges and teams that wanted to play by the rules,
Sure,
okay,
sure.
that wouldn't participate in that. Not that they couldn't afford to. They couldn't. I'll go ahead and use the phrase. They couldn't stoop to that level to do it.
Okay.
So when it came out that it went above the table, if they wanted to participate, they could. I don't think you can have real opportunity unless everybody's on the same level playing field.
Well, of course. But the problem is enforcement of the rules. Mm-hmm. Turning the cheek, patting of the pockets. So it's no different, in what we see in our government and what we see in business. And that's what it's turned into is, instead of an educational institution that provides opportunities and this, that, and the other, now it's become straight business.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any of that. It navigates and does what it does. But you can't say you're one thing and then do another. Great example. When I open this bottle, it's Diet green tea citrus flavor, okay? It's not Pepsi. I can call it that. I can say, well, in my mind it is, and that doesn't change what the facts are, okay? That's the problem. Where are we heading?
Let me ask you this. What if instead of NIL, what if the way? Well, wait a minute. Let me take a break because this is
Absolutely.
It's going to get just a little bit deep. So I want to make sure that we get through it. But my question is going to be: here's what it's going to be when this all happens. How can we restructure from a player standpoint so that we get back to true intercollegiate sports and we separate it from the pros? So that's the question. So think about it. I'll be back.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. At Stifel Nicholas, we're committed to offering investors personalized investment guidance. We're a full-service organization with departments staffed with professionals that specialize in a wide range of investment opportunities, from the most conservative to the most aggressive. We strive to give each account, regardless of size, careful, individual attention. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange. Back. A lot of discussions
and
here.
There's none of that crap that goes on. You know, they go out there and they. Sorry, we're talking about UFL. I forgot we're on. They go out there and they play hard. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's none of this. You know, stuff that they do that doesn't matter. Like, you know, they're trying to improve their skill set every day.
Here's the deal: the UFL is a longer term of player evaluation than the combine, because you're in a real world in a real world situation.
Yes, good point.
Back to what I was saying about and how we got to UFL. The UFL needs to be a feeder league, and I heard I don't remember if it was Dan Patrick or Cal Hurd said that there ought to be, I don't know how many teams are in the league. There's
8.
Okay, there ought to be NFL teams that say, okay, we're going to pay a portion of the money to put quarterbacks in there that we could possibly move up, not to starting quarterback level, but backups. There's not even a great way to evaluate backups, because a backup doesn't get any snaps when you get to the NFL. You're not getting first-team snaps. You don't know how you can work and how you can go. But at that level, yeah, it's a little bit below the NFL, but at least you get to evaluate.
Exactly.
It is a different style of football than what college is, okay? Not quite the same speed as what the NFL is, but it's closer to the NFL than college is. Yep. So it gives you an opportunity to evaluate some of that. I would rather see, and this was the point I was going to make, I would rather see kids that say, look, college is not for me. It was all I could do to get through high school. So let me go play in the UFL. Right now, they won't let you sign a player that's straight out of high school. I think that's one thing that needs to be changed. If a kid thinks he can play, and you've got some that can do that, but you've got to make it to where they can get an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But colleges have provided that because they've lowered their standards on everything. Mm-hmm. You know, SATs were dropped for
I know.
The last several years, and all of a sudden they're like, well, wait a minute, we got people in here that can't even carry on a conversation.
But that's not the real reason.
Or write their name down.
But a part of that is not the real reason that they did that. It was because they can't get enough kids into college.
Well,
there's not many kids going off to college. That
is a very truthful statement. All right, and one that is evidence based. But also, we've had a dynamic shift in standards. Okay, and you know the problem is when things are not socioeconomically, you know, legitimate across the board. There are exceptions that have to be made to things to try to help enhance and increase opportunity. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, the focus is put on blame on this, that, or the other, or so-and-so's not doing this or not being accountable with their children or whatever. Or then, you know, government steps in and tries to help everything out. And you know, it's kind of like Reagan said, you know, the words you never want to hear knocking at your door, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, right? You know, there's a lot of really good people that work in our government system that truly try to help people, right? Whether it be, you know, well, Lindsay's a great example, right? You know, her working in the school system and trying to make things better. You know, but the problem is, you know, when things are disrupted, all right, you know, from a standard set, that you have to have certain qualifications to get to this next level, and exceptions are made, then there's so many inconsistencies in the way that you deliver the product, okay, to be able to help these people get to the next level when we're talking about higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So, now, things are, I say easier. It's more, you're more able to navigate yourself into a, higher education scene of whatever level that could be, whether it could be a 2-year school such as a junior college, or something like CVCC or Caldwell or Western Piedmont, whatever, all the way to somewhere like Stanford, that is a higher academic, more prestigious university. And so what we got to do is we got to get back to leading with truth with people, especially young people, because that causes confusion. We're so worried about hurting their feelings and destroying their lives when, in fact, you're helping navigate the truth. If there's a young man or a young lady that can't hit a ball, and they consistently work at it and they still can't do it, to tell them, wow, you're such a good player, Lanny, is absolutely ridiculous. No, you can't hit, you are having issues, you're not able to overcome this. So my suggestion is either put 8 hours in a day getting better at this so you can do it, or maybe find something else to do. It's kind of like my experience with chorus. Teacher comes up and says, hey, look, your voice has changed the last 2 weeks. I need you to fake the words the rest of the hell. This is October. Okay? So, I turned into Milli Vanilli overnight, and, man, I was on it.
Right.
But the point was she didn't want me to waste my time thinking I had a talent that I didn't have. Did it hurt my feelings at first? No. It was more like, whoa, somebody just – then I realized she told me the truth.
Yeah. But I would rather be treated that way.
Well, to say it at 11 – I was 11 years old. To say that psychologically damaged me would be inaccurate and inappropriate.
Why is it not more damaging to not be honest with you, and then eventually it's going to catch up?
Why do you think we have so much mental illness?
Yeah.
Because nothing's being led in truth. It's all being led in feelings and, live yours and do this. Listen, there's only one truth. There's only one, okay? And you can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. It is what it is.
It's funny. Here
you can't
I am.
mask it up, right? And we have to do that with kids, especially when they're playing sports. Quinn came to me in the 6th grade playing football. We're coaching over here, the football team, like we did G's team this year. We got Stephen Hensley and Robbie Abernathy's coming after high school practice to help us, and had Andrew was help. Everybody was coaching. And Quinn comes up to me and says, Dad, I want to play quarterback. I said, son, I'll give you an opportunity, but what you have to remember is not everybody's meant to play that position. Yeah, you did. I said, yes, but that was because I had a skill set that allowed me, but mine was more from a leadership than a playmaking standpoint, right? Not that he wasn't a leader, but his body type was a little different than mine. All right. And, at that age, of course, we both, now it's morphed over years, but the point is I gave him an opportunity. He wasn't able to do it, all right, as effectively as he wanted to. He got to see it and understand it, and then he went and put his hand on the ground and became the best he could be.
Where the problem comes from, and I think it's not as much players and kids as it is parents. When you get that opportunity and you're shown, I really can't make that throw. I really can't run that fast.
Right.
But you've got somebody else getting in your ear. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Everybody has to be truthful in the evaluation of athletes, from the athlete to the parent to the coach, all the way down the line. Stop letting players. I had a problem with 2 kids when I was in coaching high school, and I didn't need you as a fullback.
Right,
you're too slow.
Right.
I don't need you as a tight end because we can't block you, so you're going to be a guard and tackle.
Right.
And they had body types to be that.
Sure.
Now, they developed into something else. This was 9th grade year.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
at the time, you need to take the skills that you've got that could be best utilized by the team as a whole. And it's hard for kids to get into doing that.
100%.
For some reason, I have asked every question of Google, and nothing can tell me
As far as what?
player eligibility rules in the UFL.
I think it's just open contract, Lenny. Where
no, I'm saying, is it a certain age? Can anybody cry out for it? And that's basically what I've asked.
It's either 18 or 21, right? We know that.
Yes,
right?
I'm betting it's 21.
Right, we know that. And from a liability and insurance standpoint, plus a league structure standpoint, 20 or 21, 19, something, or I say 18, 19, something like that. The most interesting part to me with the UFL and why I think it's so dynamic is because it brings that level of player that has that that drive, the want to go develop to give themselves an opportunity that just aren't getting it. These are a lot of practice squad players, from the NFL. A lot of these guys are backup quarterbacks that didn't make it, that are getting opportunities. And like you and I talked about off air, there are a couple of tight ends in that league. Okay, off of 8 teams, there's two or three tight ends that are NFL quality players. Now I say that I'm saying based on what we see, the way they move, the way they catch the ball, those kind of things.
The other thing is, you feel like, just like I do, that there should be an evaluation. They may not be a full-time starter, but everybody's got to have backups too, and especially on the quarterback side.
Yeah, well, and it's so important. And what's interesting is a lot of these athletes, I say, are two-way players. They're not offense, defense, but they are very good at special teams, which is, they're trying to reinvent the game as far as that goes. And, we're trying to make it safe. Okay, first of all, it's football. It is not a contact sport. It is a high-impact collision sport. You can't hip tackle anymore. You can't do this. You can't do – next we're going to be playing captured flag, okay? Well, the quarterback is out of the pocket. He's touched with 2 hands. He's down by contact. I'm waiting for that one to come around. You can't get away from what it is, right? If you don't like the fact that you line up for a kickoff and you run down the field and everybody mashes each other, then kick the thing out of the back of the end zone or kick it 20 yards. Okay? Other than that, but players are getting hurt. You get in your car every day, don't you? What's the risk involved in that? Is it on you or the other driver? Both. Same thing in football. There's things you can control.
It's the same thing in everything you do.
That's my point. Everything is about, I got to protect this and protect that. Let me tell you something. As soon as you start getting comfortable in anything or going on maintenance, you start dying, no matter what it is. Whether it's your life or something you're doing, as soon as you get comfortable and think you've got it made, there you go.
Yeah.
Right? You got to – football, I have no problem with them trying to find ways to do things and all this and, these skull caps and, hey, let's make it safer, this, that. Listen, that's all fine and dandy, but you can't get away from what it is.
Right.
Because it's developed into this, and this is what people want. And everybody that steps out on that field knows that. There is inherent risk involved playing football. You can't come back and say, well, they didn't tell me that my brain was going to get – okay, look in my eyes and tell me that wasn't, the possibility. Look straight in my eyes and say, well, I really believe that player went out there knowing that they had no idea that it could hurt their brain.
Yeah.
Okay? We got to stop the crazy. Got to stop the crazy. This is crazy.
Will's right. He said back in the day, NFL Europe allowed current NFL backups to start and got a good idea of what they could or couldn't do. Kurt Warner came from there. Jake Delhomme came from there. And that's what I'm saying. And that's what the UFL is kind of based on.
I like it.
I watched NFL Europe when it was on. That was good football. It was just weird times that you could see it.
Well, this is the other thing too, Lenny. I've got a whole different set of ideas on Mexico and why I think, eventually they need to be part of the U.S., okay? And that's a discussion for another day, all right? There's so much opportunity that is, along with the land that is Mexico itself, right? Mexico City, playing football down there. They got some games they're going to be playing. They do baseball down there. There's a lot of multicultural entanglement as years have gone on, obviously, between the two countries. We don't see a lot with Canada because there's so many similarities from previous history, right? So we just know that Canada and lots of parts of the U.S. are, the same with people, right? What they look like, where they came from, those kind of things. But as time goes on, there's a lot of opportunity if they want to expand to different cities and do things to do that on the North American continent, both in Canada and in Mexico.
I want to say from a legal standpoint, they can't do it in Canada.
Right, based on right now.
What Canada has done. Because they've got their own league.
Football. I completely get that. But this is the thing. Canada's football is drastically different than U.S. football. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make it bad or wrong. I enjoy watching Canadian football. It's very innovative. They got people that can move on offense at the same time. They can do double motions and, get deep and run forward as long as they don't cross the line of scrimmage for the ball snap. They get a, head start to get 3 downs instead of 4. Lots of different balls a little bigger, end zones are longer, fields a little wider. All that's great. Mm-hmm. But as things expand and as we have more people that are here U.S.-based and they're wanting to expand things, you have to find a way to enhance quality, all right, along with population increase. And you say, more people playing means more people are going to be good at it. That doesn't necessarily mean that, because it's all about taking it to that next level. That's why, again, the UFL is so important. Potentially looking at expansion into Mexico is so important, okay? Mm-hmm. And think about all the issues that we would get rid of if we did start melding some with
But what makes
that southern nation.
But what makes Mexico work that Europe doesn't is the travel.
And that's what I'm saying. There's until we get intergalactic travel on the on the Earth, where bam you're there, the connectivity issue is still the problem. You say, but a flight from New Hampshire to Mexico City's just as long as it is over to Europe, but it's not the same thing. Okay, it's not. It's where we are versus where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
We all are here in the North American continent. There's inter-travel there. There's things that can be done. People can navigate to games. If you want to follow your team, you can fly down. You can fly wherever you want. You can go from, Boston to Miami, the Patriots playing the Bills. I mean, the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. You can do that. There's not a problem. You don't have to show a passport for that. There's all different kinds of things.
Logistics have to be addressed.
Yes. Yeah. My thing is there's so much opportunity that has come about in the last 10 to 12 years based on good policy and bad policy from our government, right? That it's going to allow – all this is going to work itself out and allow the gosh, I can't get into economics, but our capital markets are really, really strong. Mm-hmm. Like we're seeing Texas and some other states maybe looking at trying to do their own stock exchange and these kind of things, because there's demand there for investment, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to spill over into sports too because of the amount of people that enjoy. Mexico City has incredible attendance.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple things that from a business side, okay, and one of these I wasn't aware of. The other one just came about. When I went to see my boy Cubby over the weekend, Wes, he has never been a baseballer, but I think I told you he buys MLB. Mm-hmm. Because he likes to bet on MLB.
The betting games, right, absolutely.
And so he bought MLB, and we're watching Kansas City and San Diego. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I noticed, so I looked it up, they are selling a patch, advertising patch, on the sleeve, and because San Diego had Motorola. They had the big M with the circle around it. So I knew what that was.
Right.
The regular season social value was $22 million. Mm-hmm. The season impressions were 680 million with 2.8 million followers. Mm-hmm. Now you're starting to see this. Well, the other thing that I was going to tell you about that has happened is now the NCAA has said, okay, we're going to allow commercial sponsor advertisements on football fields for regular season games in all 3 divisions. Now, some fields, you can't tell this on TV, but some fields, those advertisements are not really on the field. They're a graphic that you see on TV.
Yeah, and that's cool.
But I guess they're going to start allowing them now.
And think about this. A team like Lenore Ryan, Mars Hill, Gardner Webb, being able to have a corporate sponsor or a family, that wants to sponsor, alumni, whatever. Okay, Stiefel, the firm that I work for, okay, which is absolutely a phenomenal place incredible company. You look on the St. Louis Cardinals sleeve, and you see Stiefel.
Yeah.
You look at the St. Louis Blues, Stiefel. This is a big deal. It's allowing, people to become aware of whoever's sponsoring that major league team, but it's shared in advertisement because of visibility. This is where market share and market capture, really, Laney, like you're talking about with the number of followers, with Motorola, things like that, really comes in because of social media and our ability to watch these games or to follow players.
Now, the part that I don't understand, and it doesn't really get into it, the NCAA is going to allow this, but who gets the money?
Well, hopefully the university.
I would think so. I would think so.
And the reason I say the university, for the benefit of those there, not to enhance salaries, but to enhance the quality of education. And when I say education, opportunity to develop not only skill sets on the field with every bit of health care that you need, every bit of equipment, medicine, whatever it is that you need to stay healthy and continue to grow, all right, but also in the educational opportunities that will allow you to see the long-term life benefits of acquired knowledge and application of that knowledge. Knowledge is not power, okay? Applied knowledge, the ability to apply what you've learned for the good of something, that, that's power. Right, to be able to help and benefit others. Hopefully you use it for the good of things, right? Not, biological stuff, but anyway. We have so much available to help enhance our next generations that people are willing to invest in. And what we've seen over the last how many ever years, people are starting to become aware of, well, these people are in charge and they're not doing what's right by these people. And that can be said on many levels of our society, right? But the universities, when the presidents don't get together and say we need to have one person governing this, not a body, but one person, the sole decision maker. Roger Goodell is the sole decision maker in the NFL. How has that worked out for the NFL the last 20-some years he's been doing it? I would say even as effective as David Stern being the commissioner.
And the other side of it, so that everybody understands, Roger Goodell works for the 32 owners. Okay? It's like he's got a 32-member board. But he is in constant conversation with these owners so that he can decide and help steer the direction of where the owners feel like they need to go. Now, there can be some with butthurt feelings, yeah, because it wasn't what they wanted to do. But he's looking out for the betterment of the league.
And who is the product that goes on the field?
Yeah.
The players.
Yeah.
And you know what? People boo and all this stuff. He has done more to enhance things for players by the market share and the market brand.
Yeah.
David Stern did it so well with the NBA. I dare say the NBA's taken a major. Anyway, that's another story, another day. Which when I get riled up, we'll talk about. But when my give a crap meter's broken, I'll just start flying off. But today's not that day. Today's gonna be a good day. So, but Goodell is so effective at what he does. And how he does what he does. And you know what he doesn't care about? What other people think, feel, or say about him.
Right.
He only focuses on the controllables and doing his job. And I'm anxious to see who they think or who they would want to put in place next, when he's done. Because he is getting older and he's worked very, very hard and taken a lot. And I don't know, man. I think the league's good. I don't like all the stuff that went on several years ago. But like everything else, it worked itself out because it wasn't the right direction they needed to be in. But the problem was they still did it.
Yeah, but you're going to have that.
Yeah, well, you are.
Is that any different than taking a kid and letting them fail so that they can figure out for themselves that they're wrong?
No.
Moving forward?
It's the same premise and same context, but it's business versus life experience, right? And you say, well, yeah, but they got life experience in their business. Let me tell you something. They nearly lost their viewership.
Yeah.
Stadiums were not full.
Yeah.
They kind of focused out the cameras where you couldn't see there were empty seats. You know, if you noticed that years ago when you were watching an NFL game, you could see everybody sitting in the stands. And all. Lately, that's been blurred out where they just focus on the players. It's because they couldn't fill them up because people were pissed.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if it's right, wrong, or different. It's what the market will dictate and what people want to see. You can criticize what people think, feel, say, all this stuff all you want, but you can't control it.
Right.
You can try to through manipulation, saying, well, I'm going to talk you down or I'm going to shout you down and do all this. Let me tell you something. We're to the point now where it doesn't matter. You can try to do all that. They're going to shout back now.
Yeah, that's right.
And really, most of the time, probably people won't because they don't care what you think. So you can go around screaming, I don't care. Have at it. Waste your energy on
Well,
stuff
what people are finding out that the way things were handled and the way they did things was not right and did not work. And just like anything, failure,
there's a lot
you
of things,
learn from failure.
There's a lot of things over a 2-year period, Laney, in that era that were not handled appropriately.
No.
And we all know it because things don't pass the smell test.
And to me, the only way that I know that what I thought and the way I looked at it was right was it went away. Because if it was real and this was truly what was needed to be done, it would have stayed consistent.
The other thing and that's a great point. It's like that, in our sports, the way, what people want to see and what they want to watch and what's most important to them is evident, like you're saying, over a long period of time. Good point you made about how things, come and go and ebb and flow. But again, what always surfaces at the end?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Time will filter out the crap. It has to.
It does. And you can't sit there and put a cake in front of me that's made out of chicken manure.
Yep.
And tell me that this is a pound cake and it's going to be delicious.
Yep.
When I'm sitting there smelling the thing going, God,
Yep.
that's not delicious.
Yep.
It may be what you're serving, but it ain't worth well, no pun intended, but it ain't,
Ronnie said it's always the few that hurt the good. There is always going to be the one who takes the cheap shot, knowing it's illegal, and then try to hurt somebody.
That's a good
and
point.
everybody does, but
if
what happens is you get squelched out in the end.
Yeah. Because
it has to work out that way. I mean, it's just the way it is. If you don't think it is, you're not paying real attention. The other thing, let's see, there was one more thing.
God, this ranking of college quarterbacks is driving me crazy.
Why is that?
Because there's only one that's like the boy from Texas. That's it.
Manning, Arch Manning.
No.
Oh,
well, he's there, but yours. I don't want to hear nothing else.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. This. How about last year at this time? I don't know what we're going to do with this draft class. There's not even one top 10 quarterback in this thing, and all of a sudden, that's all it's taken. Michael Penix Jr. Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's the thing. G was on that bandwagon, on that soapbox the other day. Holy cow!
Well, the thing
he's
of
been
it,
doing his research on that and watching clips, and man, I tell you, he's a good dude. All right, he's a really good guy, and he's been through a lot and worked really hard. But the one thing that they're having to do is defend that pick almost every day.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? To your point about Kirk Cousins, well, that surgery may not have gone as good. Let me tell you something. If they banked $100 million in him, which they did, and they were not 100% sure, 99.9, of the outcome of, the procedure he had, then that tells you why they didn't hire Belichick. Okay? That tells you all you need to know.
That's right.
Yep. You said, well, they don't want a guy that's 73 to do this. Let me tell you something. He may be 73, but he's 500 in knowledge. Okay? He's 500 in understanding and process. Because he doesn't do it the new way, how many times have you seen things done the new way that revert back to the old way? There has to be a fundamental foundation, okay? Number one, everything you do has to be quality. Number 2, you have to make sure you're allocated appropriately within your locker room with the talent that you have and trying to improve that each day. You have to make sure you're diversified. That way you don't have too many linemen, you don't have too many kickers, you don't have too many quarterbacks, you don't have too many wide receivers. Your diversification is incredibly important in your locker room, right? How am I constantly reinvesting into our team, program, our franchise? How are we doing that with the talent? Are we giving them educational things? Do we have the best quality coaches? Do we have the best doctors, right? And when it's time for those players to leave, when we have to systematically divest them from the program, what do we offer them that helps them stay at a high level throughout the rest of their life that they have resources and access to? That's the foundation for success, okay? That's 101. That can be done in your life with your marriage. It can be done with your children. It can be done with your job, and it sure as hell can be done with the sport, okay? You just got the 5 things that are most important, all right? That's what Belichick brings to the table, all right? It doesn't mean that I like Raheem Morris. I think he's a good dude. Mm-hmm. But, when you have a company, franchise, are you trying to go out and get someone that's got some experience, all right, and is a very good person and you think will do a good job, or do you owe it to your shareholders, which are your ticket holders and the people that buy your commercials and invest in your franchise
right,
with their time, energy, effort, focus, and love? Is it not up to you to go out and find the best person available to do that? Oh, well, he might make people leave the building. Maybe they should have left a long time ago.
Well, you're not committed to your team and your organization.
That's the problem I've got with this. That's why, and the Steelers are kind of getting on my nerves a little bit with this, okay? Do I like Mike Tomlin? Absolutely. I think he's a fantastic human being. I think he's a great leader of men. But I think there are other things that may need to come into place to take it to the next level, okay? Not having a sub-500 record is not exactly what I'm looking for over a 20-year period with the Steelers, okay, as a fan that invests their time. I want Super Bowls. I want massive failure. I want reinvigoration, and let's go get a Super Bowl. Right now I'm seeing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And I'm not wasting my time watching it if I'm not seeing some of this. I don't mind this because I know everything is a yin and a yang. Right now, we're just hanging.
See, that's what I've said all along. Are you content with a team that's steady, they don't lose, but they don't win anything big? Or do you want a team that does everything they can, gets to the next spot, maybe they don't win a championship, but if not, okay, we need to do something else, and they start all over?
I could be a Bills fan and invest in the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the Chiefs, coming on late, or Tom Brady and the Patriots, coming on late and beating us because I know they're trying to do everything they can do to win. And that's just an example. Okay. Same thing with, Sean McVay out at with the Rams. Mm-hmm. He went out and got his quarterback. He loved Jared Goff, but it wasn't the right fit for what he was trying to do. He needed somebody with a little bit more experience and a little bit higher, I say skill set, a little bit higher knowledge of the skill that they're trying to do to distribute the football. He got his guy. They go to the Super Bowl. Okay.
When I think of Tomlin, and there are other coaches that are like him, and it's one of the reasons that I despise prevent defense, because you're not trying to win, you're trying to keep from losing. And there's a difference between that. There's a difference between trying to win and trying to keep from losing. Some people say, well, why are they not the same? Because they're not. Because your focus,
yes.
Your focus,
your
and the way the way you're perceiving, you go after something. To me, I think prevent defense in the NFL is useless because of the weapons that you've got in the NFL.
On the arm strength, because you go 5 wide in the arm strength.
Oh my God!
The thing about the prevent defense, that was exposed several years ago is when Belichick put Gronk in. Mm-hmm. To be one of the back safeties. He's not a defender. He is an offensive player. Belichick's mind was, 9 times out of 10, Gronk's 6'7", he's going to knock this ball down. They're not going to be able to catch it. I don't say he was wrong. What I'm saying is it exposed why that may not be the best philosophy in every situation, right? So there's ways to skew things and do things around. I can tell you from a prevent standpoint, going 4 deep or 5 deep, for example, what I would try to do is keep, if I was going 4 deep or 5 deep, all right, I would try to, and I think you saw this in the game we played in the playoff game. I would try to keep, interiorly on the hashes, 2 guys, at 12 to 15 yards for anything that was intermediate, and the other 3, they would play at 15 and then back up, right, and go to 25 or 30. But also I was sending people to go get the quarterback, so they had to get rid of it quick or had to scramble around and then bust a deep ball, right? So to your point on prevent, it may have been shell back, but it was very aggressive up front. It wasn't everybody dropping. I didn't drop 8 or 9 is what I'm saying. I completely agree with
just
what
like corners
you're
that line up 8 to 10 yards off the ball. Well, you just give them a completion,
right?
Pretty much. I mean,
right. No, that's good.
And there are some now, and I will say this: when I was coaching early on, and Lincoln had the team with Guwai and Charles Briggs and those guys, we didn't have anybody that could line up to them. We just wanted to line up 8 or 10 yards off and try to knock them off their track. Because you wasn't going to stay with them. We didn't anybody could stay with them.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, nobody could stay with them. So I get that, but, I just – everybody's got a different philosophy. But I think that's the thing to me that bothers me about Tomlin is he, in my opinion, he's not doing everything he can to win. He's more interested in trying not to lose, and they're not the same.
And again, I want to be very clear. I love the guy.
I like Mike Tomlin. I'm just not happy with the direction the Steelers are in.
Right. And again, it is a very difficult business. He's been very consistent. He's very player-oriented.
Yeah.
I think he's a great communicator. He does a lot for the communities. What I'm saying is as a fan, I would like to see that next step taken. If he can do it, great. If he can't, people say, well, yeah, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, can't argue with that. He's won 1. He's lost 1. I can't argue with that. But the feel and the reality and truth of the situation is, Lanny, is this.
Mediocrity.
That's what it is.
Yeah. No,
and it's tough.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. I'm a big fan of these players. I'm a big fan of the coaches. I like Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
I was just giving Belichick as an example.
Right.
And, there are people that will have valid disagreements with that and say, well, they needed something new. They needed to – listen, everybody can have different opinions. And I would not – like, if somebody said, no, that's crazy, I think that's great. I'm just telling you, based on success and the demise of that franchise, why would you not just, what is it? And that's the question I have.
Pat Riley made a statement, and I agree with it, especially on the pro level.
Mm-hmm.
After about 10 years, you need to swap leadership because everybody's heard everything you got to say. And honestly,
but Casey
in
Jones
college and high
guys
school,
like it, so,
you're cycling through a different group of
Right,
kids every
it's
3-4
not the same
years.
thing.
But in the pros, that's why they say, Jim Harbaugh wore out the first time.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, there's some truth to that, but he also learned a lot.
Yes.
Now, can you imagine Harbaugh with Lynch?
Yeah.
Okay, think about that combination in San Francisco.
Yeah. No.
Holy cow, because Lynch is a strong enough personality.
Right.
And has enough credibility along with Harbaugh's, persona and aura
technical
and
expertise.
But he is very, very good at what he does, and he doesn't let stuff that he doesn't see, as relevant matter to him.
Right.
He stays focused on the players.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what happens with Harbaugh in the NFL and the level that it makes other organizations step up to in finding the leadership that they need to make the NFL the best it can be.
When you have coaches in any sport that makes other teams and coaches react based on what they've done, whether it's the successes or the failures, that's the coach I want running my program.
And my question to Harbaugh is, let's take all the political crap out of everything, okay? Let's just talk straight football. If you had to do it over again, would you have put Colin Kaepernick above Alex Smith if you had to do it over again? From a competitive –
See, I don't think he bowed to the political. I think he
No, he didn't. But you take all that out so he can answer it because – it's retroactive. So, today you would get a political answer to make everybody feel good to cover yourself and Well, yeah.
I think his answer would still be, "This is the guy that I thought we had the best opportunity to win."
But
as
that's
a football
what I'm
team.
saying. But as reflection of coaches and just people in general, when you look back on things, do you gather from your experiences saying, "Well, that was my perception of the way things were, but it wasn't the reality," where I needed to go with a higher character individual that had just as good a skill set, but maybe didn't run as – Alex Smith's still a great runner at that time. He was. But from a leadership and quality standpoint, and I'm not downing Kaepernick at that point because he was a young man. Right. What I'm saying is, do you look at it, is he taking any of those experiences – not only with him to college, but now back to the NFL,
I'm sure
and
he
saying, you know what, I don't need to necessarily go with the bright, shiny nickel,
Yeah.
or the spinnerbait. I may just need to stick with that, just plain old worm that has been time-tested, proven.
Well, that's what time does.
I'm only asking the question. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't have. What I'm saying is, wonder what his answer would be based on what he learned.
That's what I'm saying. I think time lets you do that.
And again, with all the political things that Kaepernick has done, what I would like to have is an answer that factors all that crap out.
You just want the football answer.
Right, so I could understand where his mindset is, because I can actually separate the two.
Well, I've always
but I have
said –
a problem with people that can't.
I've always said that Harbaugh was
fair.
enough of a renegade that he's not going to be and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see him swaying. But anyway.
Very good point. It's just one of those things that, where are we?
Yeah.
Is the pendulum swinging back where we're getting back to, things that are time-tested, proven, and true?
Right.
Or are we still out here in la-la land trying to, put lipstick, on the pig?
Yeah. No, I think we're getting there.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just, where is this thing going? And I think that, I know that things are, swinging back where people are like, you know what, we want things that, are led in truth and, most important to what we're trying to do, instead of worrying about the stuff that we can't control.
Right.
And worrying about other people's agendas and narratives.
That's exactly right.
How is today's stuff? It's like this, and I'm going to leave it and I'll shut up and I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. But it's like this. When you look at a person, are you more worried about what their are you judging them based on personalities or their personality, or who they are, what they do and who they are as a person? Are you based on are you basing your perception on their personality? And there's no wrong answer there, because everybody's different.
Right.
Some people only want to focus on how a person acts, right? They're worried about like me, when I watch Antonio Brown, I loved watching the player because he was so talented, right? Now, did I like his actions? That when he got too flamboyant? No.
Right.
And I started worrying more about his personality than I did his actions, because his personality actually interfered in his ability to play, right? Quits in the middle of the game, all these things. But imagine if it hadn't. Right? Do you say, you know what, that's his personality, get him with a coach that can handle it, all right, and calm it down so he still is extremely productive, and I see what he does. This is where we are.
Well,
and we have to decide.
I think when you're put in certain situations and how you handle those situations, that tells you. You can say what you want about your personality, but that tells you who you really are.
Right.
The way you handle things, the way you do things.
The way you act, not what you say.
Yeah, that's what makes it.
And I think that I agree. And I think that's what, with some of the play, like Deshaun Jackson and some of his guys, who are great talents, had some issues, with, getting along and doing these things and all that. But in the end, they were able to keep those at bay some and find a good fit with coaches, and teams that could, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like Dennis Rodman going to the Bulls. When he first went to the Bulls, I know that was when I was in college. I remember a lot of guys going, God, why they got this crazy guy? He's going to disrupt that team. It's not true.
No.
Because his productivity was drastically
different.
As
long as that productivity doesn't adversely affect the others that you're playing with.
And it didn't, even in the playoffs with the Bulls. He didn't show up to practice, and they were in the finals or whatever it was. And he didn't show up, and they asked Phil Jackson, well, Dennis, is who Dennis is, and we know he'll be ready to play when he gets here.
Right.
And it's like Dennis Rodman said, Phil Jackson knew I needed to get away, because I was getting to the point where I was going to lose my mind if I didn't get out and blow some steam off. Now, whether he did it the right way or not, that's up to us to judge, but for him to decide.
Yeah, that's right.
But they still won, and he was still a major integral part of those championship runs for those couple 3 years. And that's kind of what I'm saying. You know, were the fans of Chicago, did they look at Dennis Rodman and worry about his personality
as much as they win
did the player?
And didn't disrupt everything else.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know, where are we with that?
And that's the other side. That's the other side that people look at when you talk about players. You've got your beliefs. I just want to watch you play.
Well, yeah, that too.
If I want to tune in and watch your beliefs, then do it somewhere besides the field.
Well, I think the NFL too, Laney, to your point, has gotten to the point where they know that that's probably not the best.
Yeah,
the best route to go because, you know, regardless of what, you know, the media and everything, there were empty seats in the
NFL is not any different than anybody else. If they make some changes and it adversely affects the bottom line, participation, eyeballs, any of those things, they'll go back and reevaluate those because that's what they're about.
Well, and it's like this too. You know, nobody was allowed in the stadiums, you know, while they were playing games and things like, you know, are very limited, you know, whatever. They had certain number of people go to the Super Bowl, that kind of thing. But then people were sitting home watching the game like when nobody's in the stadium, but you can drive to Lowe's and you can't get in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right? So there was what I'm saying is there was a major disconnect, you know, on the perception of things and the reality of what they really were.
But that's welcome to today.
But again, you know, I think hopefully they've learned from that.
I think they have.
And that they're going to continue to provide a quality product because I know the UFL does. And, you know, there's people that do attend the games and do all these things. It's not sold out or anything. But the quality of what they're putting on the field as far as how hard they play.
Right.
The skill set is not as great. We know that as NFL. But the quality in which they play and how hard they play and how much they enjoy being out there and are doing everything they can do. And the coaches in the UFL are great with these players. They have great relationships.
The other side of why
Skip Holtz is great.
Why the UFL is having success, everybody inside the UFL understands where they're at.
And they have a cap.
They're not
earnings cap.
Well, and they're not thinking that they're here.
Right.
They you know, if you can't accept what your current role and situation is, you need to get out of it.
And they're playing with their feet are touching the ground.
Yeah.
And they're not worried about the next level. They're worried about what am I going to do here to help me get there.
That's right.
Right. And I think that's a valuable lesson.
I agree.
And the product has now surfaced itself because there's a need for that because there's too much I'm worried about. It's like high school kids. Yeah. You know, they say, well, the hard part's done. I got accepted to college. Or you go play at such and such. No.
The real work just beginning.
You better double your work ethic now because when you go, you're going to have dogs there that are better than you now and going to work as just hard as you do. You've got to get on it.
No, you're right. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.